YouTube, my name is Mesa Sean, and we are back here on Destiny 2. Alright folks, time for a good old-fashioned Destiny 2 news update. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about a bunch of things that hit the database. We're going to talk about some quests that will be coming up real soon. We're going to talk about the Spring Alive event, because a bunch of the bounties have hit the database, and I want to talk about the patch notes. If you enjoy my content, hit that like button, and please hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let's get into it, folks. The patch notes for Update 2.2.0 are enormous, and I'm not going to go through all of them. However, there was a ton of things nerfed and a ton of things buffed. So the way we play in Season of the Drifter is totally different. Now, I'm not going to go over the entire thing. However, let's go over some things that I think you need to know. First off, shotguns got some dramatic changes. The full auto trigger system rate of fire bonus was reduced from 100% to 10%. If you haven't noticed, your Ikelos shotgun with trench barrel that you normally would use for melting bosses feels pretty darn slow. However, all shotguns, well, they did receive a damage multiplier in PvE, effectively doubling their damage. However, reserve ammunition for shotguns has been reevaluated to compensate for that increased damage. Also, they reduced the base damage for shotguns across the board to align with their new rates of fire on a per sub-archetype basis. You might notice in some of the background clips, I'm no longer using the Ikelos shotgun, and man, it actually kind of feels good, because I felt like that was a crutch weapon. For me, that was like Gjallarhorn in Destiny 1. I literally never took it off my character. But instead, I'm using the Retold Tale. That's a precision frame shotgun that I got from the Dreaming City. It doesn't have any amazing perks or anything, but the range and the damage is really, really good. But they bumped up some of the other frames, like the aggressive frame went from 45 RPMs to 55 RPMs, and the precision frame, which is what the Retold Tale is, went up from 55 to 65 RPMs. The Legend of Acrius went up from 45 RPMs to 55 RPMs. So go through your vaults and take a look and see what other shotguns you have. I know I've been collecting a ton lately, and for me, I'm using that Retold Tale and having some pretty good luck with it. Trace rifles, they also got a PvE buff of 30%. That's Cold Heart, Prometheus Lens, the Wave Splitter. Go try them out in PvE right now. Man, they do some serious damage. Grenade launchers, they got a PvE buff of 25%, and they've increased the reserve ammo that you have on most grenade launchers. However, they said starting ammo in PvE was reduced and will be fixed in a future patch. Now, I almost never use grenade launchers because I'm not good with them and I end up missing all the time, but I'm going to give them a try. Rocket launchers, they got a massive PvE buff of 60 to 65%. However, the cluster bomb, that damage was reduced by 80%, and they say that this lost damage was moved to the rocket launcher's main projectile. Now, that's going to make sense because when you see some of the nerfs to the exotics or some of the weapons we typically would use for power weapons, well, it'll make it understandable. But before we get into those, let's talk about Wardcliff Coil. We were using a Wardcliff Coil today using Arcburn on the Nightfall, and it was insane. Okay, they buffed Wardcliff Coil. Check this out. PvE damage increased 115% against boss combatants and scaling up to 160% against weaker combatants. The amount of damage Wardcliff Coil does now is just insane. I need to make sure I get my masterworked. I have the catalyst, I just have not completed it yet. The Two-Tailed Fox, that got a buff of 26%. 1000 Voices got a buff in PvE. Well, this is all PvE damage, guys. That got a buff of 25%, but there's a pretty big glitch going on with that weapon right now, and if you know what it is, you know what it is. I'm not going to talk about it. Sleeper Simulant. All right, Sleeper Simulant and Whisper of the Worm, they caught a little bit of a nerf, but not in terms of damage, in terms of their ammo. For the Sleeper Simulant, they reduced the ammo reserves from a max of 13 down to 9, and that is without armor perks or a masterwork version of Sleeper Simulant. I gotta be frank, I have not used Sleeper Simulant in a pretty long time because I am too addicted to Thunderlord. However, we're gonna talk about Thunderlord and machine guns in general in a little bit here. But the Whisper of the Worm, man, that caught a big ammo reduction. So with Whisper of the Worm, they've reduced the ammo reserves from a max of 20 all the way down to 9 without armor perks. So that's a pretty big buzzkill for the Whisper of the Worm. However, look guys, I like variety. I like the fact that I no longer am using Ikelos as a crutch. I'm using other weapons. You know what? I'm going to put Whisper of the Worm down for a little bit and not feel compelled that I have to use it when something has a really, really big crit spot to insta-melt something. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Can you live without the Whisper of the Worm having all that ammo? I'll tell you what I do not know if I could live without, and that is going to be my beloved Thunderlord or Hammerhead machine gun. So for machine guns, they reduce the ammo bonus of machine gun reserve perks by half. But what's even really worse is damage reduced against boss and mini bosses by 21%. Now, I'm still using Thunderlord in Gambit Prime. A lot of times, I'm not necessarily using it against the bosses. A lot of times, I'm using it against invaders, if I actually do invade. But usually, I've realized playing Gambit Prime, I'm more the collector or the reaper. I just like to kill. So I'm using it more for ad clearing, or I'm using it for taking out the envoys, things like that. I'm not exactly using it on the actual Primeval. I'm actually going to run up to Primeval with my shotgun, or just hit it with my primary when we're in the well. But the fact that Thunderlord got hit and all machine guns got hit, yeah, not exactly happy about that. Moving along with Armour, let's talk about some changes to Armour and some exotic changes. Now, with regards to Armour, now Year 2 Armour can now drop with a random stat package. It can drop with either heavy, restorative, or mobile stats on it. Now, this may sound simple, but I think combined with the randomized Armour stat packages, with the set bonuses, and then also the random rolls on Armour, I think they're setting the tone for Destiny 3. Think about it. You get a piece of armor. You can now get it with a random stat package. Then you get random rolls in terms of perks. Now you have set bonuses. I think they're setting the tone for Destiny 3 with this. If we think about it, when we go back to Destiny 1, you were really rolling for some perks, of course, but you were really rolling for intellect, discipline, and strength. But now that we have Gambit Prime armor, well, we're grinding for not only a stat package, we're grinding for the best perks on that piece of armor, and we're grinding to get a full set to get all of those set bonuses. So in my opinion, guys, they're setting us up for Destiny 3, and if the rumors are true from a while back that Destiny 3 is going to be way more RPG MMO-ish, well, we'll be doing proper builds when it comes to Destiny 3. Who knows? It might even be in September. We'll see. What do you think in the comment section? Are they setting us up for Destiny 3 with this? Moving along with some changes to exotics. So first off, the one-eyed mask for the Titan. Mark duration reduced from 15 seconds to 8 seconds. Health no longer restores automatically, but restores alongside overshield and can no longer be triggered while you're in your super. The Vesper of Radius, they increased the damage from 70 to 100, and also the damage is tripled in PvE. So you Warlock mains out there, start using your Vesper of Radius. I've always liked that exotic, but I'm too addicted to my Ophidian aspects. Also, for the sealed Ahamkara Grasp, for the Hunter, it's going to now proc, the main perk, from smoke bomb damage. So those are all the main things that I wanted to cover in the update. I will leave the full update patch notes in the description. Check them out and let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let's move on to some other things, including some stuff found in the database. So next week on Tuesday, we get the THORN quest, and we also get what's called the Allegiance quest, where we're going to have to pick sides and do a quest from either the Vanguard side or from the Drifters side. The two reward packages are in the database, and the one for the Drifters is called the Crew Loyalty Package, and the one that is for the Vanguard is called the Praxic Loyalty Package, and we don't know what's in those packages. The database is not showing. Now, I'm almost positive they both will give you the same reward, or I believe Bungie did hint at that you would go on a quest for either the Vanguard or the Drifter, but you would see it from two different sides. So I could see if they made them different rewards, people would freak out, but at the same time, I believe Bungie did say that they are not account-based, that you could do them on different characters, so we'll have to see how this plays out next week. The actual quest lines are in the database. They don't seem too difficult or anything like that. I'm not going to read the entire thing. I will link them in the description, and if you want to go and read them, you can do so at your leisure. The Spring Live event looks like it's going to be called the Revelry, and that's going to kick off on April 16th. Now, we could see all the triumphs for it, and I have them on screen right here, and the icon does match with what we see on Bungie's roadmap for the season of the Drifter. In the triumphs and also in the database, we see what's called the Verdant Forest, and it's also on Mercury. And if we look at all the different triumphs, it says clear simulation branches in the Verdant Forest. In a single run through the Verdant Forest, defeat enemy combatants using your super abilities, and so forth. So it looks like the Haunted Forest from the Festival of the Lost is coming back. Now the question is, how will it be different? Will it look just like it did during Festival of the Lost? Will it have some new mechanics? What do you guys think in the comment section? Also in the database under Eva Levante, she has a whole bunch of new bounties, and one of them involves a Spring Fever modifier. Now, big thank you to TimeSplitter01 for pointing this out, but also a whole bunch of this stuff. But she has a whole bunch of arc ability bounties. And remember, on the roadmap, it says that April 9th, we are getting what's called Arc Week. But she's got a whole bunch of bounties that, well, involve arc abilities. She also has a whole bunch of bounties where you need to do clears or defeat combatants, etc. in the Verdant Forest. But if we look down at the bottom, there's a whole bunch of things we need to do with what's called the Spring Fever modifier. And these bounties all have the name Spring in them. Spring Gambit, Spring Fighting, Spring Gathering, Spring Daily. For the Spring Daily one, complete a daily heroic mission with the Spring Fever modifier active. Spring Gambit, complete a match of Gambit with the Spring Fever modifier active. Reveling Strike, complete a strike with the Spring Fever modifier active. So what exactly is the Spring Fever modifier? What is that going to do? Is that going to be something like Daybreak back from Destiny 1? I sure as heck hope so. That is going to do it for this video, guys. Leave me a good old hashtag made it to the end if you did make it to the end. And do me a favor, drop a like in this video only if you see fit. Follow me on the Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream, usually and always on YouTube. And that's it. I am out of here like Vladimir.